As many of you know, I have told you over the years, Wall Street is not an investment organization. Wall Street is a sales organization. I think most of you also know by now that government doesn't always look out for our best interests, but often puts its interests ahead of those of the people. Now, when these two get together and they're looking out for their interests over ours, it can be a very bad cocktail. And recently we've seen that here in New Mexico, as the state permanent funds have lost a staggering $5.7 billion. And you wonder, how can this work? But before we get there, let's talk about what the permanent funds are. The permanent funds are those pools of money that are intended to be used to pay teacher retirements, judges' retirements, public employee retirements. They're also meant to replace the revenues lost as oil and gas revenues deplete. These are the funds that were intended to be rising so that we would have money in the future for future state needs. Anyway, the state permanent funds are down nearly $6 billion, putting a lot of things at risk. Well, here's how that can happen. One, the stock market can just go down. But if you add a little bit of government corruption into this, it can make things much worse. Here's how. We all know that we have these massive pools of money, and those monies should be invested wisely and prudently. Now, the state appoints boards, and on these boards you'll have politicians, you'll have bureaucrats, and oftentimes you'll have people on there who are appointed for political reasons and maybe not for their financial savvy. Anyway, Wall Street firms come to compete for the business to invest these funds. And the reason is simple. The fees can be in the millions of dollars to manage this money. Well, the boards then decide who gets to invest the funds. Well, as you might guess, unscrupulous Wall Street firms can sometimes go to board members on the side and say, you know, we're willing to rebate part of our fee to you if you will invest the money with us. Now, of course, all of this is illegal, but you know how things can go in real life. The money can be channeled directly or indirectly, or it can come via campaign contributions or contributions to the person's charity, but there are ways to backdoor money to those who sit on the board. Now, you would hope that people would do this, and most don't, but you only need a few who can then start steering money, maybe not toward the best investment advisors, but toward those who will reap the benefit for all those involved. That is the allegation that we now have in New Mexico, that we have politicians, and particularly a governor, who has partaken in what we call pay-to-play scandals, whereby business was given based on campaign contributions, or perhaps more, allegedly. Meanwhile, you would expect the Attorney General would get involved in these types of things, but we have the same problem in the state with an issue of pay to sue, as some attorneys have tried to enlist the support of states' attorneys general to do class action lawsuits. And if you want more detail on how each of those things work, please read the missive in its text form and you'll get more of a flavor. Meanwhile, who are the losers in this? Obviously, it's the state employees who now have to worry about their retirements, and it's also the taxpayers who now have to look at it and say, oh wait, sometime in the future, politicians are going to say to me, I have to raise taxes on all of you out there to make good on our promises because the investments didn't come through. So the taxpayers lose, the public employees lose, but of course Wall Street and big government, they win. And that's not the way it's supposed to be. So until next time, hasta luego from the Zanetti campaign.